Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can make a memory frame using my layered dog or cat SVGs for one of your pets who may have sadly passed away. In my previous video, I showed you how to add the angel wings to the designs. So if that's what you are looking to do, then check the description of this video and I'll add a link to that other one on how to add the angel wings. For this video, I'm going to assume that you've already created the angel wings onto your chosen dog or cat design, or you've decided not to have the angel wings and to just use the dog or cat as is. We're going to start in Cricut Design Space, where I'll show you how to size this to match your frame, and then we'll import some photographs and create them along the bottom, and then design the dog's name and the paw prints, which I then cut from vinyl to stick to the glass of the frame. Once we've designed the memory box, we'll then cut it out and stick it all together, and I'll show you my super awesome way for getting the vinyl to stick to the inside of your frame. There's a special little trick for getting it all lined up correctly, and keep watching to find out what that is. Here's the dog design that I'm going to be using for my memory shadow box. I made this dog with the angel wings in a previous video by taking one of the layered dog SVGs from my shop and adding the angel wings in Cricut Design Space. So if you've purchased one of my files, or if you've got another file that you'd like to add angel wings to, check out that other video. There's a link in the description of this video, or just go to my YouTube profile and you'll be able to find it. You could of course still make your memory frame without the angel wings. If you just want to have the dog on its own, then that would look really lovely too. The first thing you need to do is to measure your shadow box that you want to be putting the design into. It's important that we know the size of the aperture, so the gap in the frame, so that we can size everything correctly so that when it's cut out, it will all fit. Here's my shadow box so that I can measure how big I need to make my design in Design Space. I'm just going to open it up and take out this bit of paper. And then I want this spacer which sits inside. So let's move the frame for now. And then what I want to do is measure from one edge of the wood, the outer edge, all the way to the other. So let's give that a measure. And it's about 11.6 or 7 inches. What I'll probably do in Design Space is make it 11.5, just so that I can be really sure my design is all definitely going to fit. So I'm going to crack on with 11.5 inches as my width. My frame was 11.5 inches, so I'm going to go into shapes and choose square. And then size this to 11.5 by 11.5. We're not actually going to be cutting this out with the Cricut machine, although you certainly could if it's smaller than 12 inches, but I'm just going to be using this as a guide for the rest of the frame. So I'm going to make it a white colour so that I've just got this outline, and then I need to move it underneath my dog. So let's go arrange, centre back. Now I can size the dog so that I'm happy with how big it's going to cut out. I think I'm happy with it about that size. And then what I'm going to do underneath is add some photographs. Now for this video I'm using stock photos and I'm going to use a fake name for the dog. I'm obviously not going to choose a real dog for this video. So I'm going to find some photos and then cut them so that they'll fit underneath. First I'm going to go into shapes and choose a square, and then make this a rectangle by clicking the padlock icon at the top of the width and height. And then I'm going to type 6 inches wide and 4 inches tall. And that's so I can get the proportion, because most photos that you take are about 6 by 4 in the proportion of them. Now I've got this, I'm going to lock it by locking the padlock and then just make it a bit smaller so I can fit 2 underneath the dog. I just really wanted to make sure I had that proportion to match what normal photos are, as it'll make it easier to put a photo at the right size. So I'm going to want let's go 4.5 inches wide and then 3 inches tall. That works quite nicely. I'm going to right click and duplicate. I want to make this one a little bit smaller because I want to have a border of different coloured card around the edge. So let's unlock the padlock and I'm going to take 0.25 inches off of each side. So that makes 4.25 by 2.75. I'll make this a different colour. So that's how that will look. I'm going to select both of those layers by pressing one in the layers panel, pressing Ctrl or Shift on the keyboard and choosing the other, and then go Align, Center to put that orange one exactly in the middle of the grey one. And then I'm going to group them together. Click on that group, then press Duplicate to make a copy. And now I can just play about with the positioning of them. Remember that you have to fit everything inside your outer square, and also you don't want to go right up to the edge because the very edges might be covered over by the very edge of the frame once you put it all together. So I'm making sure I've got a nice little gap. There we go, and that will be my 2 photos. I'm also going to add the name of the dog in this space on the left, which I'll cut up from vinyl and I'll stick onto the glass on the front of my frame. So let's go into text and type out my fake name. Let's go for Bruno and choose a font. Maybe that one. I quite like that one. That's called DTC Barn Acre and it's a Cricut Access font. I think for this type of dog, a nice bold font is good. If you were maybe doing it for a smaller dog or a female dog, you might want a more swirly script font, so you can tailor that to what it is that you're doing. I think I'll put that down there. And then I think it would be nice with some little vinyl paw prints around it. So let's go into images and search for paw. I'm going to have a little look through and see what there is. I might also want something to go on the other side. So those with the little hearts are quite cute. But really I'm looking for just a little paw on its own, possibly. Actually, I quite like that one. Yeah, I think I'll go for that. So you can have a play to choose the images that you think are most suitable for what you're doing. I just thought that one might look quite nice over on this side to balance it out a little bit. There we go. Delete that one and just make this one a bit smaller and have a few going around the name. I'm going to right click and duplicate so I've got a copy. Oops, moved the wrong thing. If you do move the wrong thing, you can either press Ctrl and Z on your keyboard to undo like I just did, or you can press the undo arrow in the top left. A couple of paw prints there, and then I think what I'll do underneath is I'll put the dates, so the birth date and the date that they passed away. Of course, that again is completely optional. I'm going to go into text. Let's go 2000 and I don't know 10 to 2021. This font doesn't actually have a hyphen, which I can tell because it's done that weird little rectangle with the lines through it. So I need to choose a different font for the date. Maybe that one. Nope, that doesn't have it either. Okay, let's choose a system font, so one off my computer. I'm going to go for Arial, which most computers should have, so you'll probably have that one. And then how wide is that? 3.094. I'm going to make my dates the same width so it will line up. And then select both of those layers and go align left just to make sure that they're lining up. It could probably shift down. Okay, so I'm happy with how that is looking, but I just want to move all those layers down a little bit. And this is why I like designing in Design Space, because you can make sure you're happy with the layout before you cut anything out, which makes it really nice and easy to design with. I think my outer box will need to be down a bit, or maybe the dog should go up a bit, because at the moment there was quite a lot of empty space along the top. And now that I've done that, I need to move all this up a bit. So it's a little bit trial and error, but eventually you'll get the layout that you're happy with. So I'm just going to save this. Now I'm going to add some photos into the orange boxes, and I'll show you how you can crop them so that they perfectly fit. And remember, I am using stock photos for the purpose of this video. So I'm going to click upload and then upload image. You can then find the files on your computer by clicking browse, or you can drag and drop them in. Because we're going to be printing this, choose complex and then continue. We don't need to change anything here, so press continue again and then click print and cut image and press upload. If you've put a particularly large photo in, then this might take a little while. When it's loaded, it will show in your recent uploads, so you can click it in there and then press insert images. Again, this might take a while to load, but here it is. It's coming quite big, so I'm going to make it a bit smaller, and then I will need to resize it so it will fit in the orange box. Unfortunately, Design Space doesn't let you set transparency on things, so cutting things out to a certain size is a little bit tricky. I'm going to click on this rectangle and then ungroup it so that I can drag the orange layer. And you see, because I've got this selected and it's behind the photo, it's kind of giving me a little grey rectangle box so I can see where that layer is and position it so that I've got the bit of the photo showing that I want to keep. Now, with that layer still selected, I'm going to press Shift or Control on the keyboard and choose the photo, and then press Slice. And that will cut the rectangle out from my photo. So now my photo is exactly the right size. I can delete the layer that is the outside that I don't want and delete the orange rectangle, and then just move that into position. And now I can do the same thing with another photo. So go into upload, upload image. I'm going to drag in my second picture, choose complex, and then continue. Continue again. Choose print then cut image, press upload, wait for it to upload. Click it in your recent uploads and then press insert images. So I'm going to make, I just had the wrong layer selected. Let's press undo. I'm going to make this a bit smaller. And then click my second photo box and ungroup it. Drag this box. And then at the moment, I actually want to make my photo a bit smaller. Now, if you found that your orange box or whatever colour you've made it is showing on top of the photo, you can go into Arrange and move backward until it's appearing underneath. So I'm going to make this one a bit smaller. Try again. There we go. So that's going to look nice. And then I've got my square selected. Press Ctrl or Shift and choose the photo. And then press Slice. Now I've got the outline, which I don't need, the photo, which I can put here, and then I'm going to delete that orange box. This is very nearly ready for me to start cutting out now. I just want to sort out a few of the colours. So for all of this wording and the paw prints, I'm going to cut that from vinyl and stick it to the glass, but it's all going to be the same color vinyl, so I need to make sure it's the same color in my design. So I'm going to make one of them a really obvious color so I know when I'm cutting it out that this will be the vinyl layer. So let's go purple. You can then click the other layers and make them the same purple as well. But an easier way to do it is to click the color sync button underneath where it says make it on the top right. And then you can see you've got our purple layers. So I can click and drag everything that I'm going to cut from vinyl onto that purple color, and it will recolor it for me. I can also see that my very bottom layer of the angel wings is a light gray at the moment, and actually I want to cut that from white, so I'm going to drag it onto the same white as the chest and the eyes of the dog. I'm going to do the outline of the wings in silver, so that's okay. And then my two photo frame layers are showing as grey at the moment. I won't actually cut them from grey, but I haven't decided what my background paper is going to be yet. So for now, I will leave that as it is. When you're happy with all your colours, then click back to layers. And then we are ready to give this one last save to make sure we don't lose anything. And then I'm not going to cut this very outline square. So I'm just going to click it and hide it in my layers panel. Now, this still isn't quite ready, and that's because at the moment, all of this vinyl on the left would cut separate. If I click make it, I'll just show you what I mean. So let's find that purple layer, and at the moment it's going to do this with all the vinyl in different places, whereas I want it to retain its original positioning. So to do that, I'm going to click into all of the layers. I've got Shift pressed down on my keyboard so I can choose the multiple ones. And then with those all selected, I'm going to go down to the bottom and press Attach. And now if I click Make It and have a little look at that purple layer, you can see it's keeping the positioning. And then this heart, I'm just going to move aside so there's a bit more gap to make it easier to cut out. But now that is looking good. So let's save again because we've made changes. I like to save often, just in case. All right, so now if you are going to do vinyl and stick it onto the frame, you have a couple of choices. It's going to be cut from adhesive vinyl, so either removable or permanent will work. If you're going to be sticking your vinyl on the outside of the frame, then this, how it's looking now, is absolutely fine. I don't need to change it. However, what you might want to do is actually stick it to the inside of the frame so that it won't get dusty or damaged by being on the outside of the glass. If you're going to do that, then you need to mirror the vinyl design. Otherwise, when you stick it to the inside of the glass, if you look at it from the front, it will show as the wrong way round, like looking into a mirror. To do that, after you click Make It, scroll down to find your vinyl color, and then in this left-hand side, click the little toggle that says Mirror, and it will put it all backwards. So it's going to cut out of my vinyl like this, which means when I stick it to the inside of the glass, it will actually be the correct way round when I'm looking at it from the front. So I will say again, if you're going to be sticking the vinyl to the outside of the glass, you do not need to mirror. If you're going to be sticking the vinyl to the inside of the glass, then you do need to mirror. The vinyl layer is the only layer that you need to mirror. You don't need to mirror any of the other bits because they're going to be cut out of cardstock to go inside the frame, so we don't need to worry about that. But now this is all ready for me to go through and change the paper size if I want to. So to do that, just click on the layer and then you can change it to whatever paper you're cutting it from. You do need to do it for every single colour, so you can go through and change that if you want to. We've also got our print then cut, so this will print on my printer and I'll cut this out from glossy photo paper. If you're new to print then cut and you're not sure how to do it, I have a separate video all about print then cut. So check the description of this video for a link to that one if you want a little bit of a helping hand doing the print then cut. But for now, I'm going to pause this video, go and cut everything out, and then we can stick it all together and assemble our memory box frame. I've now cut everything out, and I've also cut a piece of scrapbook paper down to size, which is going to be the background of my design. Before I do anything else, I just want to check I've got this the right size. So I'm putting it in the frame on top of that space there. I can see that fits nicely. I didn't actually cut this on my Cricut, I just used a paper trimmer to get it down to size. I only needed to take off about 1/4 of an inch on each side, I think. Alright, so now I know that that's definitely going to fit, and start sticking it together. Let's see which way. I think I like it that way round. So I can just bring in my different parts. I'm sorry, my paper only just fits in my camera view. I'm not used to making things that are so big. Let's get these all into place. And here's my other photo. This came out really nice. I've kind of matched the browns in the photo mats. It's the same brown that's the nose and the eyes and the dog. And it's kind of pulling in the brown from the checked pattern. So it's all nicely matching. If you're not sure how to stick the dogs together, check the description of this video. I'll link to another video where I show how to do that, as well as how to stick it to the angel wings. But if you are thinking about buying any of my dog files, or in fact any of my layered files, they do all come with an assembly guide. It's a PDF document which you can print. It will print A4 or US letter sized. I just shrunk this one down because my printer's running out of ink, so I just wanted to make sure it would do it. And what this is it shows you a little picture of all the different layers, and then there's text on it which tells you which order they go in. So they've all got a number, and then next to each number is whether you should stick that layer with foam pads or with glue. So it makes it really, really easy to know how to stick everything together. And that comes as standard with all of my layered designs. Okay, so I just want to have a little play with this and get it to where I'm happy with all the positioning before I start sticking. I've also got my vinyl here, which I have weeded, so I've just got the bits left that I'm keeping, and that's going to go on to the outside of the glass of my frame. Okay, so I said the outside of the glass. It's actually going on the inside of the glass, which is why I've mirrored it. So yeah, inside of the glass, mirrored. I'm very new to working with vinyl, so it's still a little bit confusing to me, so apologies if I say the wrong terms. Cardstock is more where I'm comfortable with. Okay, so I'm going to start sticking all of this down. And you could use double-sided tape, but I'm going to use glue so that I've got a bit of wiggle room because I am terrible at sticking stuff on straight, so I just want that ability to move stuff about if I need to. The glue I love at the moment is called Collal. It is a transparent glue, so it dries see-through. It's a solvent glue, so you should use it in a ventilated area, but it is so good for cardstock. It doesn't bend or warp the paper no matter how much glue you put on there. So sometimes with some glues, it causes little wrinkles in the card, which just doesn't look great. This does not do that. If you're struggling to find this glue in the USA, then alternatives that I've heard are good are art glitter glue, which doesn't actually have any glitter in it, it's just the name, and Barely art glue. But if you're in the UK, like me, then Collal, you should be able to get it. I tend to get it on Amazon. And then what I do is I pour some of that glue into these tiny little needle tip bottles. This tip is so thin, and it means you can get into all of the details on the layered designs. I even got it into all the wings, and it works really, really well. And again, I picked these up on Amazon. I think I paid about £9 for 12 bottles, so it's really good. And of course you can refill them, so they'll last a really long time. Okay, so I'm going to start sticking these together and I'm going to do the photos first. So let's turn this one upside down and add a bit of glue on the back. I printed these photos on glossy photo paper. The brand I used is Koala. Again, I think I got it on Amazon and it was pretty cheap. Maybe like 100 sheets for about £10 or something like that. I don't really remember, but it was about that. But of course, any photo paper would do, or if you prefer the matte effect, then that matte effect instead of glossy would also work. Just sticking these into the middle of my little brown mats. And then I'm going to put these on. I've kind of been thinking if I want to raise them up with a foam pad or if I want to do them flat. I think I'll do them flat, but you definitely could use your foam pads to raise them up a bit. I add quite a bit of glue because I don't want this to come off when it's on the wall. Okay, so that one's going to be there. So I want this one about here. I'm so bad at getting stuff lined up. You have to bear with me a little bit. Okay, I'm happy with that. Now let's do this one. You don't want to add so much glue that it will smush out the side when you stick it down. So enough for a firm stick, but not so much that it'll come out the sides. I think that's about right, and I'm going to use this little line on the paper design to see if I've got it straight. There we go. Next I can stick the dog on, and I'm going to use glue for this. I wanted quite a lot as it's heavy. There's so many layers of card in this. Definitely don't want it to fall off, so I'm going to put lots of glue on, including all in that tail. This glue, this Kalal glue, does dry really quickly and it's very sticky, so it should be good and not fall off. Fingers crossed. Alright, so here is the dog. I'm just going to bring this down a bit so I can see easier. Get him into position. Move him down a bit. Okay. I'm going to push gently to get that glue to stick, but I don't want it to smush out the sides, so being quite careful. There. And then I'm going to leave that to dry for a minute before I put my vinyl onto the front of the frame, because I don't want this to move about while it's still wet. My design's now dry with the glue, so I can crack on with putting the vinyl on the inside of the glass. To do that, I'm going to take the glass out of the frame, being careful. Doesn't appear to want to come out very easily. There we go. Stick it there for now. And then I'm going to put the spacer back in and add my design into the back. And it will fit on top of that spacer. And then I'm just going to loosely put the back in. And I'm not going to seal it up yet. I'm just going to turn it over and then get the glass. Okay, so it will fall out a bit. You can put the little flaps down if you think it's easier. So I've just put my glass up here, and then I'm going to clean it with an alcohol pad. I actually already did, but then I touched it, so now it's dirty again. Wipe this over. I'm not sure these are actually the best alcohol pads in the world, as they tend to dry a bit smeary, which isn't ideal. But they are very handy for getting all of the little bits of dirt off of the glass, which will help our vinyl stick better. Okay. Alright, so because I'm sticking the vinyl to the inside of the frame into the glass, I'm going to need to work a little bit backwards here. If I was just to stick this on like this, when I then flipped the glass, it means it would be on this side. So I'm actually going to need to stick it onto this side. So bear with me a minute whilst I try and get this maths figured out. So I think what I'm going to do, even though I've just cleaned it this side, is I'm actually going to stick it on the other side. And I've got a whiteboard marker here, so it'll come off the glass. And I'm just going to mark where I want it to go. So I want to stick it marking out some little dots where I'm going to line up those bottom letters. And then on this side, I want that heart to be about there. So again, that's where I want the bottom of it to go. Okay. So now I can turn this, take this out of the way, turn this the other way up, and then I can start sticking. So I'm just peeling the backing off my transfer tape, and I'm going to put it over the heart to start with. Where's my scraper? Here it is. Let's try and do this so you can see. Scrape that onto there. And then that should peel it all up, which it has done. And then I can find the side of the glass where I put the little line for the bottom. So remember my wording has two little dots. I don't know if you can still see it. And this had one for where I want to put the bottom. So I'm just going to line that up along that tiny little dot. Remember, the dot's on the other side, so it doesn't matter that we're covering it up. And then I don't want to scratch the glass. Never actually done this before. I haven't even had a practice run, so I hope it works. Peel this back. And this is white permanent vinyl. It's actually a Hobbycraft brand vinyl. There we go. And now I can do the same thing for text. So let's cut some transfer tape. It's probably a bit big. Try and peel it up. Here it is with the backing removed. So move my glass out of the way. I'm definitely going to need to clean this again. Put my transfer tape down and give it a scrape. And then hope this all comes up. Yep, good, good. Actually, that little bit of paw print has still got a little bit of paper on it. There we go. Okay. So now I can find my two little dots and I'm going to line them up, line my glass up so it's straight. Then I can line that up along the lines on my craft mat. Get it nice and stuck. And then peel this back. I hope this is still in the camera shot. Wow, that worked better than I thought it was going to. Okay, right, well let's see if it actually works when we put the frame back together. So I might just give it another little rub because I have definitely got this all dirty. I might actually use some glass cleaner rather than these alcohol wipes. They don't seem to be very good at actually cleaning. I try not to get the vinyl. It just helps to get rid of any fingerprints or anything like that, but these particular wipes are drying smeary, which I don't think they're supposed to do. So something like Windoline or Windex may be a better choice. I don't know. This is all new to me. Okay, so let's move this. Being careful not to touch it. Now I've cleaned it. Touch the other side because I can clean that later. Bring my frame back, and I'm now doing this one-handed because I'm trying to hold the glass. Don't want to damage it. There we go. And then the spacer. I can put this in. I think those fingerprints are on the outside. I think we're all good. Okay. Ooh. All right. I was so worried that was going to smash. Okay. Let's put the spacer in. And then the design. Then the back of the frame. It's getting a little bit crowded. There's always one bit that it can't get past. Let's try going in that way. Okay, I managed it. Right, let's push down these tabs. And now it's the big reveal. Is it going to be right? Ah! Yay! Okay, that's exactly where I wanted it to go. So that is good. I'm thinking I probably should have done black vinyl because the white's a bit hard to see, but I'm really happy with that. So now I'm just going to use another alcohol wipe to get that whiteboard pen off. You see it comes off perfectly, and then there are loads of fingerprints on this. You can probably see all the reflections of my camera lights in the glass. Clean this. I'm definitely going to need to do this a bit better, but for now it should be okay. Alright, so here is my finished frame. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I love how the vinyl looks with it sticking on the screen. I do think black vinyl may have been better for this particular design because there's a lot of white in the background. And likewise, if I'd have stuck it on the front, I think it also would have stood out a lot more. But by putting it underneath the glass, it means that it's going to stay nice and clean and not accidentally come off when you're dusting it in the future. So there we have it. Our memory frame is finished and ready to go on the wall. I hope that you found this tutorial helpful. For loads more Cricut Design Space tutorials, including different ways to use my dog or cat SVG files, please subscribe to my channel. I have a great many videos on there already for how to customize the files, as well as a whole range of other Cricut-focused video tutorials, which I hope that you will enjoy. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!